What's up, good people? Welcome back to another episode of Undrafted Views. We're here. We talk sports from the sidelines, and today we're going to answer the question: can the New York Knicks and the Boston Celtics make it out of the first round of the 2022 NBA playoffs? Let's get into it.
So the New York Knicks finished last season 41 and 31 and were fourth in the Eastern Conference. We all know what happened when they went to the playoffs, but can they make it out of the first round of the 2022 playoffs?
The answer is no for me, even if they make it. So I am still questionable whether or not this roster for this season, based on the teams that they'll be up against, will even make it to the playoffs. Best bet for me would be the play-in tournament, and maybe winning then will get them a slot into the playoffs. But right now, as it stands, it's a no for me.
Oh my goodness. I don't have them even making a play-in tournament. I'm pretty firm on that. The Eastern Conference is tough. Now, we know the top six, right? Nets, Bucks, Heat, Celtics, Sixers, and Atlanta. Some might argue the Philadelphia 76ers don't belong in the top six. But, we'll see what happens with that. But the 7 through 10 is already solid, in my opinion. And personally, there is no room for the New York Knicks.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you on that, especially when we're talking about Wizards, Bulls, and Toronto, because I firmly believe that one of those three teams would probably upset the top six.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So where do the Knicks fit in? Maybe that 10th spot? Maybe? Maybe, right? So is it a possibility for them to beat out the Charlotte Hornets? Maybe, but at the end of the day, I just don't see where they fit in the top six. And I'm questionable where they may even fit in 7 through 10. And if they do, it would be at the very bottom. I'm talking about by the thread of the basketball, they'll get in.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't see it. I know that Coach Tibbs won Coach of the Year in 2021. I think that he is the right coach for that particular squad. I just don't know if they have enough pieces. I know that they have acquired Kemba Walker this season. They also acquired Evan Fournier. Well, I can tell you right now, Evan Fournier with the Boston Celtics was a no-go for me.
Right.
And Kemba Walker. So I don't see it. And I know that right now their center, his last name is Robinson, is on day-to-day. If he don't play, I don't know what they're going to do. So
yeah. Mitchell Robinson has been out with a foot injury, and if he doesn't come back 100%, there's a lot of pressure on Julius Randle to kind of redo what he did last season. But I think he hit like a speed bump in the playoffs. Yeah, and he was probably worn out because they had answers for him, and he could not recover.
I know right now with the trade or with the acquisition of Kemba Walker, what I've been reading is that they hope that Kemba Walker will come in and alleviate some of the pressure that Julius Randle will experience this season, right? But I just need Julius Randle to know that he will be carrying the bulk of the weight on this team again. So will he have enough? So can Kemba Walker give him enough reprieve that once the postseason happens, which I don't think they'll make it, but if they happen to, by sheer luck, make it to the postseason, and I'm talking about the playoff postseason, not this play-in tournament postseason, right? The playoff postseason, then hopefully he'll have some energy to even compete where they're not going out 4-1 or 1-4, whatever, because they pretty much got what is a gentleman's suite. So I just hope it doesn't happen. I just don't see they have enough pieces. Right. And with them trading Reggie Bullock to the Dallas Mavs, I think he went to the Mavs. I'm like, what's that doing?
Now, Julius Randle, he didn't waste any time signing his extension over the offseason, 4 years and 117. Right. He was a 2021 most improved player, made his first all-star team. He had a great season. And it was disappointing to see how he performed or how the Hawks put that defense on him. You know what I'm saying? In the playoffs. Now, go ahead.
Is that more about Julius Randle or more about the lack of players on the team? I mean, Julius Randle at the end of the day can only do so much, right? And so if he is shut down, where are the other playmakers and other defensive players on the team that can help combat that? I think that what the Knicks are attempting to do is insert Evan Fournier for more 3-point strength, and then Kemba Walker to help again alleviate some of the pressure that Julius Randle will experience this upcoming season because he is the strength of the New York Knicks basketball team.
Mhm.
So I don't know if I can put the full blame on Julius Randle for the demise of their postseason run in 2021 because
Mhm.
there was other pieces that should have stepped up and they didn't. Now, don't get me wrong, Derrick Rose, so glad Derrick Rose. Can we say that he was their
Yeah.
saving grace, even just getting through the 5 games that they did play? But I just thought, yeah.
Now, Evan Fournier played great for in the Olympics. I'm hoping he can, kind of bring some of that to the New York Knicks because there's a lot of talk about him, and he's not a cheap player. They did not get him for pennies on the dollar. They
Oh
had to pay
no.
big money to get him. So,
Hopefully, Evan Fournier, with his success with the Olympic team that he was on, maybe now he would have a better production for the New York Knicks this season because for Boston it wasn't it.
yeah. So let's talk a little bit about RJ Barrett. He was the Knicks' second leading scorer behind Julius Randle. He averaged 17 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists on the season. Now, he came into the league with Zion Williamson, and he kind of got overshadowed by Zion. So are you, expecting anything big from him with this new Knick roster?
I hope so. I hope so because he's going to be needed to do more than what he did last season. And now that he's been in the league, this will be his third season in the
Uh-huh.
league. He'll have more experience and maybe he's more comfortable. He's been to the postseason, so he knows what the road looks like ahead. I hope I
Mm-hmm.
can see more from him. I mean, yes, he was the top scorer, but it still wasn't enough. I can say
Yeah.
there were pockets in his game where I was like, ooh, you still got some growing to do.
Yeah.
I sense
Yeah.
that. And who doesn't when they first come into the league? So hopefully they'll need it. I can tell you that right now. I just know that I question the Knicks putting some eggs in the basket for Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier. That's just it. They have to prove it to me that they are in the right scheme with the right group of players in New York to really make a long run and maybe possibly make it to the playoffs. So,
Kemba's he's a hometown kid from
yeah,
New York. So,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm not putting a lot of pressure on him because I would rather see Derrick Rose in the starting lineup. If I'm Coach Tibbs, I might make that swap. Because we know Kemba, and his knees, he may not last the whole season. So you gotta
Yeah.
ration him throughout.
So I think that Kemba Walker and Derrick Rose will be interchangeable as the starting lineup, coming off the first, being a part of the first unit. But right now on the depth chart, they have Kemba Walker as number one starter. They have Derrick Rose as supporting the second unit. And then they have Emmanuel Quickly as doing the third. I don't even know if Emmanuel Quickly will even see any minutes. And that concerns me. He is still a young player. He still has talent. He did okay in the summer league. But to
Mm-hmm.
be on a roster where you have Derrick Rose and Kemba Walker that will take up, I would say, probably 95% of the minutes, he will probably only see minutes in garbage time if they ever make it there. So it's going to be it's almost like it's putting a hold on his career,
Yep.
with the addition of Kemba Walker. So I'm concerned
Yeah.
about Emmanuel quickly being able to showcase his ability and his um, growth with the New York Knicks this particular season.
Mm-hmm. The only way he'll get significant minutes is if Kemba Walker is injured, which will push Derrick Rose to the starting lineup
Yeah.
and Emmanuel can, run with the second squad. Now, OB Toppin, I
Mm.
feel like he was a disappointment. Coming in the 2020 NBA draft, I had high hopes for him. Yes, he's still a young player, came in with a lot of excitement. He's a high flyer. Didn't see much of that for the New York Knicks last season. Yeah, but let's talk about the Bulldogs in the paint, Nerlens Noel and Taj Gibson. Can I just say, when Mitchell Robinson was out, those guys, Nerlens and Taj, really filled the gap for them in the middle.
If you need to get a board or you want to block, you better put Nerlens Norwell in the game. You got to put him in the game.
Yeah, put them in.
However, as these other teams have structured their paint support, one of the things that would be interesting for me to see in this upcoming season is how well Nerlens Noel will be able to bang up against. Now, yes, he's a lengthy. He is pretty strong in the paint. I mean, he can get you a board, he'll block you and all that. But then there's so many other stronger players. I'm concerned about him being able to withstand the strength of the other players. if you know what I'm saying. So,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll see how it works. I mean, he did well in the 2021 season. I'm not knocking any of that, but a lot of these teams have revamped. That's why it's important for a Robinson to be back.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to need him to put up high production and more minutes in the game as the season progresses. That's all I'm saying. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Okay. I know it should be interesting, but
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know where the Knicks will fit. So as it stands right now, I do not have them in the play-in tournament, which means I don't have them in the playoffs either.
Yeah. I don't have them in the playoffs. Based on the question that was asked, can they make it out of round one? My answer is no. The New York
Mm-hmm.
Knicks will not make it out of round one in the 2022 NBA playoffs. Not at all.
Mm-mm.
As a caveat to that, I don't even think they'll make it. So,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah, not this season. So they'll, do the best they can this season and get ready for the next season.
Yeah. Okay.
All
So
right.
let's talk about the Boston Celtics. They
Okay.
finished last season 36-36 and were seventh in the Eastern Conference, which means they were in the play-in tournament to my surprise. Do you have them making out of the first round of the playoffs?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
The answer is yes for the Boston Celtics with a minor adjustment. It will be a no if they are paired up against the Brooklyn Nets and the Milwaukee Bucks. So if they are matched up in round one, I think if they're matched up in round one with any other team in the Eastern Conference, absolutely, they can make it out of the first round. If they're matched up with the Nets and the Bucks, it's questionable for me. So yeah, it's really about the matchups, right? So we think about how teams make it out of the round. Sometimes it's about the matchup, and in this case, for the Boston Celtics in particular, it's going to be about the matchup. So yeah.
Okay. I have them making it out of the first round. If they play the Brooklyn Nets, it's okay because they did snatch a game from them last season in the playoffs. They lost 4-1, but it was only Jayson Tatum. Jaylen Brown was out injured, and Marcus Smart I don't think he was 100%, right? He had a little nagging injury as well.
Mm-hmm.
If the Boston Celtics are full strength, I think they can make it out of the first round. Easy.
Against the Brooklyn Nets?
Yeah, because we don't know how they're going to look right now.
Yeah, and we also don't know. And also with the Brooklyn Nets, it was pretty much Kyrie wasn't playing. Oh. So it was so again, it depends on what the roster looks like, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I still hold firm that yes, I believe they can make it out of the round one, depending on the matchup. My question will be the Brooklyn Nets and the Milwaukee Bucks. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And think about it. The Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum, and Marcus Smart, this will be their 5th season playing together. The chemistry that those three have is unprecedented. It's amazing. And I think that, and with Brad Stevens still being in the building, although he may not be coaching them, but he is still in the building. I believe he's building a team around those three. We keep talking about the two J's, but you cannot miss Marcus Smart. He's the soul of the roster. He's been there the longest. Like really in this roster, I think he's been there the longest. And now you're bringing about Al Horford. Think about it. They all played with Al Horford. Marcus Smart, Jayson Tatum, and Jaylen Brown played with Al Horford in 2016 and 2017 and 18 for that matter. So it is almost like, are they recreating the roster like the Golden State Warriors are?
Yeah.
To compete, right? So I was just like, what? And so now they have Dennis Schroeder. So at this point, Dennis Schroeder, think about having something to prove. I just got embarrassed last season and in the offseason with my contract. Oh, I'm about to show you guys. And I read a quote somewhere where he said, I don't care. Pretty much in essence, he's saying, I don't care where I come in. When I come in, I'm getting ready to play. So first coming off the bench, leading the second unit, for me, I took the statement as saying, put me in, so it's gonna be a good roster. I'm excited about the Boston Celtics roster.
Me too. Oh, it's good to have Al Horford back in the building. They also have Enes Kanter, who's also, a former Celtic, back on the roster. Exciting to see because Robert Williams III signed an extension, so they believe in him, but they have him backing up Al Horford, which is really nice for the young, because I know how you're really big on young players getting the time and minutes on the court. So it's good to see that the Celtics really believe in him.
Yeah, and I can see Al Horford being someone that you would want to learn from.
Yeah,
he's been in the league for forever, right? 2007, I think he was drafted.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So he had his experience with the Boston Celtics and with the other teams. Now his Oklahoma City run, I
Oh,
guess
he
that was
did.
I guess that was a vacation for him,
Yeah,
So
he
now he's
no,
back.
nah, he didn't want to play there.
Oh, of course not. I think if Robert Williams is going to learn from someone, it's good that he's learning from Al Horford because he seems like he's really a kind spirit. So,
Mm-hmm. And he's a great floor general as well.
oh,
Talk
that dude
about
runs.
veteran leadership. They got a lot of leaders on this team.
Not only talking about veteran leadership, but talking about veteran leadership to a core of guys that he played with once when they
Mm-hmm.
were rookies or a second season. So he's built a relationship with them back then to come back with
Yeah.
his experience with other teams and things he may have seen that they may actually be doing where it may not work well for him to bring that experience to.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's going to be an amazing thing. So I think that I can see him and Marcus Smart really being the floor generals, rallying the troops together, as you like to say,
Yeah.
to really get the Boston Celtics to the next level. But yeah, making it out of round one. But Boston Celtics always make it to the playoffs. Now, even if they had to make it by way of the play-in tournament in the last season, they still made it to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I never have a doubt that they'll make it to the playoffs. My only concern this season would be round one, depending on the matchup, and it's just those two teams I previously mentioned. Other than that, everybody else that they may potentially match up against, no, it is possible that they can win for sure.
Okay. Now I think the Nets and the Bucks will probably be 1 and 2 in the Eastern Conference when it's all said and done. In order for the Celtics to play them, that means the Celtics would have to have been 7 or 8. I don't see them there. I see them more in the 4-5 seeding.
Yeah, no, exactly. But that's going to be important though. So as the season progresses and as these teams start to strategize where they want to be placed, because I know that's what they do. Stop it.
Yeah. They do.
At the end of the season, you're saying, okay, y'all hold up because we want to make sure we land here because of the possibility of us playing this team. And we know that we can get out of the 7-game series with this team. So that's what they'll be doing. And I know I can see that happening. So hopefully they'll fall around 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Yes. So they can be okay. But yeah.
All right, let's talk about some of these players that left the Celtics roster. You got Kemba Walker, your favorite.
Don't say that. He's not my favorite, but I wish him well.
I know. Kemba Walker, Evan Fournier, and then Tristan Thompson, a big in the middle, but it's okay because they have Al Horford now. They got rid of Taco Fall. It's okay. They re-signed Robert Williams III. There's not going to be any problem in the middle. And I felt like the Celtics were really struggling in the paint. I felt like there was a huge gap in the middle. So now that we have Al Horford and Robert Williams III, it's okay that we no longer have Taco and Tristan Thompson.
Oh, yeah. And then we got Enes Kanter that can come in at any time.
Yeah.
Can I just tell you, when we start?
I'm ready. I'm so ready.
And you know what, though? I'm not even mad at the signing of Josh Richardson.
I like him.
So, yeah, I'm okay with their roster. Appears to be pretty solid. I'm looking forward to seeing what the new coach will do with them, though. Now, there is that. Yes. So, although the players themselves are solid, fortunately and it could be unfortunately if you think about how the Trailblazers been playing together for ages. But they've been playing together for a while. The players have been playing together for a while. Now with the new coach, let's see how he interacts and can connect with the players to make sure that their regular season and postseason run is successful. So yeah, that'll be the only thing that could perhaps derail this particular Boston's roster is their coach if he's not the right fit.
Yeah, well, Jayson and Jaylen co-signed to get him, so I think that as long as those two and Marcus Smart, he's gonna buy into the system. He gives me team energy. Like he will support the mission regardless of who's leading the camp because he did it with Brad Stevens. I mean, come on.
And he proved it further to your point when he re-signed with them because based off of the reporting, he could have actually went into free agency and maybe acquired $90 million. And he settled for 77 or 70 something million because he believed in the team. So it is refreshing to see someone who is loyal to a franchise, right?
Mm-hmm.
Still make some more money than they were making in the past. May not be the max it could have made, but then what does that max look like when you have players jumping to team by team, making all this money, but not winning any championships,
Right.
not getting along with the players that they play with, leaving, being stuck or having to leave, i.e., Montrezl Harrell, i.e., Dennis Schroeder. I mean, when you think you can get more and you really don't, it's refreshing to see that Marcus Smart was like, I am true to the green. I will stay with the Boston Celtics. And I read an article where he was like, I talk with my friends and family. You know, we kind of weigh the pros and cons. And for him to stay with the Boston Celtics means that he will probably be a Boston Celtic for life.
Yeah, I hope so.
He got drafted in 2014. I mean, so for him, because he could actually leave and go chase a chip like everybody else. Talking about a defensive genius, Marcus Smart will give you that, and he's nice on the perimeter. He's great. I mean, come on, he's a great player to have on your roster. So I'm quite sure there were other teams that were interested in Marcus Smart, but for him to say, "I'm going to come back," Boston Celtics, you got me. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. You know, Jayson Tatum had to carry a lot of the burden in the NBA playoffs. He averaged 30 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists on his own. Now, if he would have had Jaylen Brown healthy, Marcus Smart 100%, a center spot with strong and athleticism who, you know, like Al Horford, he can play in and out. He's really good from the 3 ball. I think the Boston Celtics maybe would have upsetted someone and gone a little deeper in the playoffs. That's what I'm hoping to see, you know, as we get this season underway and as the playoffs start coming up.
Yeah.
Jayson Tatum just needed a little bit more help. And hopefully next season he has it.
That's funny. So let's do the correlation between the Knicks and the Celtics. So we talked about the Knicks, Julius Randle having to carry the full load.
Mm-hmm.
You just mentioned that for Boston, Jayson Tatum had to carry the full load, right? So when we're talking about what they acquired in the offseason and what can potentially bring them to a successful postseason run, the pieces that the Boston Celtics acquired against the pieces that the New York Knicks acquired, it's like night and day.
Yeah.
Right? So we know it was obvious what holes the Boston Celtics had on their roster. I believe that they were able to fill those holes with players that are dominant and will really make a change in the game. The holes that the New York Knicks had in their roster, I don't know if those pieces that they acquired is going to be enough. So we both have teams that had one player that had to carry the load in their postseason run in the 2021 season, but the potential of them being able to go further in the 2022 season really, for me, only appears to be the Boston Celtics when we're talking about the Knicks and the Celtics.
I think the Celtics by far did a way better job of building their roster back up to compete. Yeah.
Yeah. So who won in the offseason between these two teams? I would have to say the Boston Celtics.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's funny because you always champion Brad Stevens. You championed him when he was the head coach. And now that he's in the front office, you know, I like the moves that he's doing. But in terms of moving the needle, are you officially saying that this roster that Brad Stevens created can make a deep run in the NBA playoffs for 2022 season?
Yes, depending on their round 1 matchup.
Okay. So if they land in a 4 or 5 spot and they have to go up against, let's say, the Hawks or the Sixers, you see them eliminating them easily.
Yes. I believe it will be a fair matchup. And I do believe that the Boston Celtics can come out victorious against those matchups. Yes. With this roster here. Yes. And yeah, I think they can. Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum.
That's a good, yeah.
Marcus Smart, like Al Horford. I mean, yeah. And the second unit is not even scrubs. They're not even scrubs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, Peyton Pritchard and Josh Richardson, that's a great backcourt. I like what Grant Williams, you know, did over the offseason. He got a little trimmer, started working on his shot. So, yeah, they look pretty good.
They look pretty good. And Josh Richardson, when he was with the Dallas Mavs, he was nice with them. So, yes, a great pickup. Yes, I would say 4 or 5 slot, depending on who their round 1 is. They can most definitely be victorious. Yes.
Okay. Yep. All right, cool. All right, you guys, we're going to wrap up this episode. Make sure you drop down in the comments. Let us know what you think about this. Do you think the Knicks and the Celtics can make it out of the first round of the playoffs? Thank you all for tuning in. We will see you all on the next one. But until then,
Peace.
peace, y'all.